Welcome back to The Explainer. I'm so thrilled you're here today because we're looking into a topic that perfectly blends high-stakes modern drama with centuries of hidden history. We're unpacking the incredibly complex and honestly often misunderstood relationship between the British crown and religion. It's a dynamic that dictates not just who gets to wear the actual crown, but how the royals live their everyday lives, literally down to the family events they're allowed to attend. Let's get right into it.
To really wrap our heads around this, we actually need to start with a fascinating little mystery from 2018. Right before her royal wedding, Meghan Markle was secretly baptized. Now, you might be wondering why. Well, Meghan actually went to a Catholic school in America growing up. But here's the thing. She didn't need to be baptized into the Church of England just to marry Prince Harry. There was absolutely no rule saying she had to. However, she was quietly baptized and confirmed by the Archbishop of Canterbury. She made this deeply personal decision out of a profound respect for Harry's grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, who was, of course, the head of the Church of England. It was a very clear signal of just how tightly faith and the royal family are intertwined.
Which brings us to our first section, royals and modern religion.
Recently, religion became a massive talking point online again regarding the Duchess of Sussex. Here's what happened. Meghan flew out to Chicago to attend her godson's First Holy Communion at a Catholic cathedral. She sat in the pews, supported her friend, and flew home. Seems pretty simple, right? Well, online commentators immediately sparked a massive debate. The claim circulating all over the internet was that Meghan absolutely could not be a godparent because she isn't Catholic. Now, the discourse got pretty intense, but to fully understand the context here, Meghan did actually spend 4 years being educated at a Catholic high school in Los Angeles, where she learned core Catholic values. But as we just talked about, she is currently a baptized Anglican. So who's actually right in this big internet debate?
To cut completely through all that internet noise, we just need to look at the actual facts of Catholic canon law, specifically Canon 874. This is the code that governs the exact qualifications for godparents in the Catholic Church, and the rule is brilliantly clear. The Church requires that at least one godparent must be a baptized and confirmed Catholic in good standing. But if a second person is chosen, they do not have to be Catholic. As long as they're a baptized Christian from another denomination, which Meghan is in the Anglican tradition, they are perfectly eligible to serve in what is formally called a Christian witness capacity, right alongside the Catholic sponsor. So under strict canon law, her role is entirely legitimate.
Now, while the internet was busy debating canon law in Chicago, another absolutely massive modern religious milestone was happening right in Britain. King Charles is set to attend the Catholic funeral of the Duchess of Kent at Westminster Cathedral. So, why does this matter so much? Because he's becoming the very first monarch to officially attend a Catholic funeral in Britain since the Reformation. The Duchess of Kent actually converted to Catholicism back in 1994, which, let me tell you, was a huge deal at the time. Now, seeing the king and the heir to the throne attending a Catholic mass in Britain is a monumental step forward in ecumenical relations. It really shows a softening of religious boundaries that have been incredibly rigid for centuries.
But why were those boundaries so rigid in the first place? Let's zoom out to Section 2, the ancient succession rules.
To really understand the crown today, you have to understand the centuries-old constitutional laws that essentially built a strict, impenetrable Protestant wall around the British throne. It started way back with the Bill of Rights in 1689, which first restricted succession. Then came the Act of Settlement in 1701, which strictly mandated Protestant heirs. And finally, the Royal Marriages Act of 1772. That one was actually passed in a total hurry because King George III completely disapproved of his brother's marriages, and it required the sovereign's explicit consent for their descendants to marry.
For hundreds of years, these archaic rules dictated royal lives down to the absolute letter. Succession was governed by what's called male preference primogeniture, which basically means a younger son would always leapfrog an older daughter in line for the throne. Heirs had to be legitimate Protestant descendants of Electress Sophia of Hanover. The sovereign absolutely had to be in communion with the Church of England. And here's the real kicker. Under these laws, anyone who married a Roman Catholic instantly lost their place in the line of succession. There was no comparable statutory provision about any other religion, just Catholicism.
Obviously, eventually something had to give. That brings us to Section 3, updating the crown.
This monumental shift really kicked off with the Succession to the Crown Act of 2013. This legislation was born out of the 2011 Perth Agreement. At a meeting in Perth, it was announced that the 16 Commonwealth realms, who all share the exact same monarch, had unanimously agreed to change the rules of royal succession. Think about what an enormous logistical undertaking that was. Spearheaded alongside New Zealand, they had to get every single realm to agree to essentially rewrite history.
This brilliantly illustrates the tension between ancient royal tradition and modern progress. When we compare the old and new rules side by side, the 2013 Act basically did three huge things. First, it replaced that male preference primogeniture with gender-neutral succession for anyone born after October 28, 2011. Now, order of birth is literally all that matters. Second, it completely scrapped the rule that disqualified anyone who married a Roman Catholic. People who had previously lost their place in line just because of a Catholic spouse actually regained their places. And third, it repealed that hasty 1772 Royal Marriages Act. So now, only the top 6 people nearest in line to the crown actually need the sovereign's consent to marry, rather than hundreds of distant relatives. To really ground this in reality, let's just look at the current line of succession to the throne. Right there at number 3, you have Princess Charlotte of Wales. Under the old rules, the very moment her younger brother, Prince Louis, was born in 2018, he would have instantly displaced her and bumped her down the list simply because he's male. But thanks to those 2013 updates, Charlotte maintains her rightful birth order place ahead of him. It's a profound modernization of the British monarchy, playing out right in front of us in real time.
But as progressive as that 2013 Act was, it definitely didn't change everything. Let's move to our final section, the unbreakable Protestant rule.
If we dig into Section 2 of the official explanatory notes for the 2013 Act, we find something super interesting. While the Act made it perfectly legal for members of the royal family to marry a Roman Catholic without losing their place in line, a hard constitutional line still exists for the actual person wearing the crown. The crucial point is captured perfectly in this official quote. The prohibition on the sovereign being a Roman Catholic is not changed by the Act. So even today, with all the modernizations we've talked about, the ecumenical milestones, and the removal of the marriage bans, the ultimate ruler of the crown must still remain a Protestant in communion with the Church of England. That ancient fundamental pillar of the British Constitution stands entirely firm.
Which brings us to a really compelling thought to end on today. We've seen Meghan Markle honoring the Church of England through her baptism, we've seen King Charles breaking centuries of precedent to attend a Catholic funeral, and we've seen the law itself completely rewritten to end discrimination based on gender and the religion of a royal spouse. But the core of the crown remains exclusively tied to one single faith. In a modern, dynamically multi-faith Britain, how long will this final ancient restriction last? Is it an unmovable cornerstone of the nation's identity, or is it simply the next rule waiting to be rewritten? Think about that for a bit. I hope this explainer has given you a powerful new lens to view the hidden rules of royal religion. See you next time.